You've been feeling it, haven't you? That quiet certainty rising in your chest, the one that doesn't scream or demand but simply knows. It's not hope anymore. It's not faith in the way you used to understand it. It's something deeper, something that has settled into your bones like an ancient truth finally remembered. You look at yourself in the mirror and you see her, the woman who used to beg the universe for answers, who stayed awake analyzing every word, every silence, every sign. And you realize she's not who you are anymore. Something has shifted. You didn't announce it. You didn't even plan it. But one day you woke up and the heaviness was gone. The desperation dissolved. And in its place, a calm so profound it feels like power. Because it is power. The power of a woman who stopped waiting for permission to be whole. You know this feeling. It's the moment when chasing becomes irrelevant, when proving becomes pointless. When you realize that the love you've been seeking outside yourself has been living inside you all along, patient and eternal, waiting for you to come home. Your heart doesn't race anymore when you think of him. It softens, it opens, but it doesn't break, because you've learned the difference between loving someone and losing yourself in them. You've discovered that the feminine doesn't lead by force or strategy or manipulation. She leads by becoming so deeply rooted in her own truth that the entire universe has no choice but to rearrange itself around her frequency. And that's exactly where you are now, standing at the threshold of the final stage, not because he's ready, but because you are. If you felt this shift, this quiet reclaiming of your own soul, I need you to know you're not alone. Drop a comment below and share where you are on this journey. Or simply type, I am ready to lead to claim this energy. And if these messages speak to your soul, subscribe so you never miss the guidance that's meant for you. There comes a point in every twin flame journey when the divine feminine realizes something that changes everything. She realizes that she was never meant to follow. Not in this stage. Not anymore. For lifetimes, perhaps, she played that role, the nurturer, the supporter, the one who bent herself into shapes that would make others comfortable. But this journey, this sacred, brutal, beautiful journey, was designed to break that pattern. It was designed to show her that leadership doesn't look like dominance. It looks like devotion to truth. It looks like a woman who chooses peace when chaos would be easier. It looks like you, right now, reading these words and feeling them land in your body like recognition. You might have noticed that everything feels different lately. The way you move through your days, the way you respond to triggers that used to send you spiraling, the way his silence no longer feels like rejection, but like space, sacred space for both of you to become who you need to be. This isn't numbness. This isn't you giving up or shutting down. This is you waking up to the truth that you are not half of anything. You are whole. You always were. And the moment you stepped into that knowing, the entire dynamic shifted. Because the universe doesn't respond to what we want. It responds to what we are. And you, beloved, are becoming the embodiment of everything you once begged for. The divine feminine in her final stage is not the woman who waits by the phone. She's not the woman who checks his social media at midnight, searching for proof that he still thinks of her. She's not the woman who shrinks herself to make him comfortable or performs worthiness to earn his attention. That version of her has been loved, honored, and released. What remains is something far more powerful, A woman who has walked through the fire of her own abandonment wounds and come out the other side glowing. A woman who has faced every fear, every doubt, every moment of what if I'm not enough, and answered with radical self-love. A woman who has learned that her silence is not weakness, it's sovereignty. And sovereignty, true sovereignty, is magnetic in ways that chasing could never be. Have you felt it? The way things shift when you stop trying to control the outcome. The way signs multiply when you release your grip. The way he seems to sense something different about you, even when you haven't spoken in weeks or months. That's because your energy has become directive. It's no longer reactive, bouncing off his actions or his absence. It's no longer shaped by whether he texts back or shows up or finally sees what's been in front of him all along. Your energy has become a force of its own, a frequency that says, I know who I am, I know what I carry, and I will not abandon myself ever again, not even for the promise of union. This is what the final stage asks of you, not perfection, not transcendence of all human emotion, not some spiritual bypassing where you pretend the pain didn't matter. No, it asks you to be real, to be raw, to be so deeply honest with yourself that there's no room left for pretending. It asks you to look at every place you gave your power away and take it back. Every time you made yourself smaller. Every time you silenced your intuition. Every time you chose his comfort over your truth. The final stage asks you to forgive yourself for all of it, and then to choose differently. Not because you're trying to make him come back, but because you're trying to come back to yourself. And here's the truth that nobody tells you about this stage. When you come back to yourself, when you truly embody your own wholeness, you don't stop loving him. The love doesn't disappear. It transforms. It becomes unconditional in the truest sense, which means it exists without conditions, without timelines, without the need for him to be anything other than what he is right now. You love him, and you love yourself more, not in competition, in harmony, because you've finally understood that loving yourself isn't selfish, it's sacred. It's the only way you can love anyone else without losing pieces of your soul in the process. The divine feminine leads not by telling the masculine what to do, but by showing him what's possible. Every time you choose peace over panic, you show him that peace is attainable. Every time you choose faith over fear, you show him that faith is not naive, it's powerful. Every time you choose to honor your own boundaries, your own needs, your own truth, you show him what it looks like to be in integrity. And whether he's conscious of it or not, whether he's ready to acknowledge it or not, his soul is watching. His soul is learning. His soul is being called into its own awakening by the light you're holding. But let's be clear about something. You are not holding this light for him. You are holding it for you. You are doing this work, this deep, relentless, transformative work, because your soul demanded it. Because you got tired of living in patterns that didn't serve you. Because you realized that waiting for him to save you was keeping you from saving yourself. And the moment you made that shift, the moment you decided that your healing was not contingent on his presence, everything changed. The energy between you changed. The frequency of the connection changed. Because you stopped being the chaser. You stopped being the one who needed the connection to validate her worth. And you became the one who knows her worth is inherent, unchangeable, divine. This is the leadership the universe has been preparing you for. Not the kind that's loud or forceful, not the kind that demands to be seen, but the kind that's undeniable, the kind that shifts the room just by entering it, the kind that doesn't need to speak because the vibration says everything. You have become that woman, and if you don't fully believe it yet, your body knows. Your soul knows. The universe knows. And soon, if not already, he will know too. Let's talk about what happens energetically when the divine feminine steps into her power. Because this is where the magic lives. This is where the unseen becomes the foundation for everything that manifests in the physical. When you were in chasing energy, your frequency was scattered. It was reaching, grasping, trying to close the gap between where you were and where you wanted to be. And that energy, though it came from love, created resistance. Because the masculine, especially the divine masculine in his unawakened state, runs from anything that feels like pressure, not because he doesn't love you, but because he doesn't love himself. And your intensity, your certainty, your readiness, it mirrors back to him everything he's not ready to face. But when you step back, not in punishment, not in manipulation, but in genuine surrender, everything shifts. Your energy stops reaching. It starts radiating. And radiation is a completely different frequency than pursuit. Radiation says, I am the source. I am the light. I am not chasing anything because I am already whole. And that frequency, beloved, is irresistible. Not because it's trying to attract, but because it simply is. It exists in such fullness that it naturally draws everything into its orbit. This is what you've become, a source, a sun, a woman who has learned that her light doesn't dim when he's not around to reflect it back. And here's what happens in the masculine when he feels this shift. At first, he might not even understand what's different. He just knows that something has changed. The energy that used to pull at him, that used to make him feel guilty or pressured or overwhelmed, it's gone. And in its absence, there's space. Space for him to feel his own failings. Space for him to face his own fears. Space for him to realize that the running isn't working anymore. Because what he was running from wasn't you. It was himself. It was the depth of feeling you awakened in him. It was the vulnerability required to meet you in that depth. It was the terror of being seen, fully seen, by someone whose love didn't come with an escape route. But your shift creates a new possibility. Because you're no longer asking him to save you. You're no longer waiting for him to complete you. You're no longer making him responsible for your happiness or your healing. And without that pressure, without that weight, he can finally start to feel. Not just feel for you, feel himself. The parts of himself he's been avoiding, the wounds he's been running from, the love he's been too afraid to claim. Your sovereignty gives him permission to find his own. Not because you're teaching him or fixing him or mothering him into awakening, but because your frequency is a mirror. And mirrors don't force. They reflect. They show what's already there, waiting to be seen. This is why the divine feminine leads in the final stage, because her energy is the catalyst. Her healing becomes the invitation. Her peace becomes the pathway. And all of it happens without her doing anything to him or for him. It happens because she's doing everything for herself. She's choosing herself. She's honoring herself. She's loving herself with the same fierce devotion she once poured into trying to make the connection work. And that choice, that radical act of self-love, it sends a ripple through the entire connection. It reaches him in ways words never could. It touches him in places he didn't even know were closed. And slowly, sometimes painfully slowly, it begins to wake him up. You might be wondering, what does this look like practically? How do I lead when I'm not supposed to chase? How do I hold my power without closing my heart? These are the questions that come up in this stage. And the answer is simpler than you think, though not always easy. You lead by living. You lead by being so committed to your own joy, your own growth, your own purpose, that the connection becomes one part of your life, not the entirety of it. You lead by building a life that feels full and rich and meaningful, whether he's in it or not. You lead by honoring your intuition, even when it doesn't make logical sense. Especially when it doesn't make logical sense. You lead by setting boundaries that protect your peace, by saying no to breadcrumbs, by refusing to accept inconsistency or half-hearted effort or love that only shows up when it's convenient. You lead by knowing, deeply knowing, that you deserve more than crumbs. You deserve the whole feast, and you're willing to wait for it, not because you're putting your life on hold, but because you're living your life so fully that anything less than true partnership would be a distraction, not an addition. This is the energy that transforms everything. This is the frequency that calls in union, not as a desperate plea, but as a natural alignment. And while you're doing this work, while you're building this life, while you're embodying this frequency, something is happening in the unseen. The universe is orchestrating. Timelines are shifting. Energetic cords are being cleared and recalibrated. Soul contracts are being honored. And the masculine, wherever he is, whatever he's doing, is being prepared. Not by you, by his own soul, by the divine intelligence that brought you together in the first place. He's being stripped of the illusions that kept him running. He's being confronted with the patterns that kept him stuck. He's being shown again and again that nothing else satisfies, that no other connection feels like this, that no amount of distraction can silence the call of his own soul. This process is not always pretty. In fact, it's often messy. He might go through his own dark night of the soul. He might make choices that look like regression. He might seem more lost than ever. But underneath the surface, beneath the chaos, the awakening is happening. The walls are crumbling. The heart is softening. The soul is remembering. And every step he takes, even the ones that look like steps away, are actually steps toward. Steps toward himself. Steps toward truth. Steps toward the love he's been running from because he didn't believe he was worthy of it. And here's where your role becomes so crucial, so sacred. You hold the space, not by waiting in desperation, not by putting your life on hold, but by continuing to embody the frequency of love, by continuing to choose peace, by continuing to trust that what's meant for you will not miss you. You hold the space by being the lighthouse, steady, bright, unmoved by the storms. You don't chase the ships. You don't leave your post to go rescue anyone. You simply shine. And those who are meant to find their way home will see your light and follow it. Not because you made them, but because they chose to. This is the power of the divine feminine in the final stage. She is not passive. She is present. She is not weak. She is wise. She is not waiting. She is becoming. And in her becoming, she creates a gravitational pull so strong that everything aligned with her frequency begins to move toward her. Not just the masculine, but opportunities, synchronicities, miracles. The universe itself begins to conspire on her behalf because she has finally aligned with her own divine nature. She has remembered that she is not just a participant in this journey. She is a creator, and what she creates from this place of wholeness will be unlike anything she's experienced before. Let's go deeper into what this means for union, because union is not what most people think it is. It's not the ending of the journey. It's not the moment when all the pain was worth it and you finally get your reward. Union is a frequency. It's a state of being, and it begins within you long before it manifests in the physical. True union is the integration of your own masculine and feminine energies. It's the marriage of your own inner polarities. It's the moment when you stop looking outside yourself for completion and realize you are already complete. And when you reach that state, when you embody that truth, the external union becomes inevitable, not because you manifested it, but because you became it. This is why the work you're doing right now, this inner work, this healing, this reclaiming of self, it's not separate from union. It is union. Every time you choose to love yourself, you are practicing union. Every time you integrate a shadow aspect, you are preparing for union. Every time you stand in your truth without apology, you are calling in union. Because union cannot exist between two halves trying to complete each other. It can only exist between two wholes choosing to create something greater together. And you, beloved, are becoming that whole. You are doing the work that so many are afraid to do. You are facing the parts of yourself that are easier to project onto him. You are taking responsibility for your own healing, your own happiness, your own wholeness. And as you do this, as you continue on this path, you will notice something profound. The connection with him, even if you're in separation, even if you haven't spoken in months, it starts to feel different. The desperation dissolves. The obsession fades. What remains is love, pure love, love without agenda, love without need, love that exists simply because it is. And this love, this unconditional love, is the highest frequency there is. It's the frequency of the divine. And when you embody it, when you become it, you are no longer asking for union. You are offering it. You are demonstrating what it looks like. You are showing the universe and him and yourself that you are ready. Not ready for him to change. Ready to love him exactly as he is while also loving yourself too much to accept anything less than what you deserve. This paradox is the key. You can hold space for him and hold boundaries for yourself. You can love him unconditionally and still require reciprocity. You can believe in the connection and still build a life that doesn't revolve around it. These are not contradictions. They are the balance of the divine feminine who has learned that love is not sacrifice. Love is sacred, and sacred love honors all parties, including and especially yourself. This is the leadership the final stage requires. The ability to hold multiple truths at once. The capacity to be soft and strong, open and boundaried, patient and unwilling to settle. This is the mastery you are stepping into. And what about him? What is happening in the masculine during this time? Let's speak to that, because understanding his journey can help you hold compassion without losing yourself in his process. The divine masculine, especially in the early stages, is often completely disconnected from his emotional body. He's been conditioned by society, by family, by culture, to believe that feelings are weakness. That vulnerability is dangerous. That love is something you control, not something you surrender to. And when he meets you, when he feels the depth of this connection, it terrifies him, because he can't control it. He can't logic his way through it. He can't perform his way out of it. And so he runs, not because he doesn't love you, but because he doesn't know how to love himself. His journey is about learning to feel, to be with discomfort, to face the wounds he's been avoiding his entire life. And this process, beloved, it takes time. It takes breakdowns. It takes him hitting rock bottom and realizing that nothing external will fill the void inside him. Not work, not success, not other relationships, not distraction, nothing, until he turns inward, until he starts to do his own healing, until he realizes that the love he's running from is actually the love that will set him free. But he has to choose it. You cannot choose it for him. You cannot love him into awakening. You cannot heal him. You can only heal yourself. And in doing so, you become the frequency that invites him to do the same. During your silence, during your absence, he is feeling you. Maybe not consciously, maybe not in ways he can articulate, but his soul knows. His soul feels the shift in your energy. It feels the moment you stopped chasing. It feels the peace you found, and it unsettles him, because your peace reveals his chaos. Your clarity exposes his confusion. Your wholeness highlights his fragmentation. And that's uncomfortable. That's confronting. But it's also exactly what he needs, because you are no longer enabling his avoidance. You are no longer playing small so he can stay comfortable. You are standing in your full light, and that light is showing him everything he needs to see, even if he's not ready to look at it yet. But there will come a moment when the running loses its power, a moment when the distractions stop working, a moment when he's forced to sit with himself, with his feelings, with the truth he's been avoiding. And in that moment, he will think of you, not as a fantasy, not as an escape, but as a mirror. A mirror that shows him who he could be if he was brave enough to face himself. And that moment, that sacred moment of recognition, is the beginning of his true awakening. It's the moment when he stops running from the connection and starts running toward himself, because he finally understands that the two are the same. This awakening doesn't happen overnight. It's not a linear process, and it's crucial that you understand this so you don't fall into the trap of expecting immediate transformation. His journey toward consciousness is messy, unpredictable, and often frustrating to witness from the outside. He will have breakthroughs that make your heart soar, moments where you think he finally gets it, where you see glimpses of the man he's becoming, the man who exists beneath all those layers of protection and fear. And then, just as quickly, he'll have setbacks that might make you question everything. He'll retreat back into old patterns, old defense mechanisms, old ways of being that feel safe even though they're suffocating his soul. There will be moments of profound clarity where he sees the truth of your connection, where he feels the depth of what you share, where he recognizes the mirror you've been holding up for him all along. These moments will be followed, sometimes immediately, by moments of intense resistance where his ego fights back, where his fear screams louder than his heart, where he convinces himself that running is safer than surrendering. But here's what you need to understand. Each time this happens, each cycle of awakening and resistance, he's actually moving closer. Closer to himself, to the authentic version of who he really is beneath all the conditioning and trauma. Closer to truth, to the reality he's been avoiding, because it requires him to be vulnerable and raw. Closer to the love he's always wanted, the love he's dreamed of in his quietest moments, but never believed he deserved because somewhere along the way he internalized the message that he wasn't worthy of something so pure and unconditional. And you, in your sovereignty, in your peace, in your unshakable centeredness, you are the beacon. Not because you're waiting for him, sitting by the window hoping he'll return. Not because your life is on hold while he figures himself out, but because you're living your truth, embodying it in every choice you make, every boundary you set, every moment you choose yourself. And truth, beloved, is the most powerful force in the universe. It's more powerful than manipulation, more powerful than games, more powerful than any strategy or technique. Truth has a frequency that cannot be replicated or faked. It cannot be denied forever, no matter how hard someone tries to look away. It cannot be avoided indefinitely, no matter how many distractions someone uses to numb themselves. Eventually, it demands to be seen. It rises to the surface. It breaks through all the illusions and all the pretending. And when he's ready, when he's done running from himself and from you, when he's finally brave enough to face himself in the mirror you've been holding, when he's exhausted all his escape routes and realizes that the only way out is through, he will see it. He will see you, not as the woman who chased him, who begged for his attention, who diminished herself to make him feel comfortable, but as the woman who became everything she was meant to be, with or without him, as the woman who chose herself when it would have been easier to abandon herself for breadcrumbs, as the woman who stood in her power even when it meant standing alone. And that's when the dynamic truly shifts. That's when everything changes at a fundamental level. That's when he stops taking you for granted and starts seeing you as the gift you are, as the blessing he almost lost, as the woman who loved him enough to let him go so he could find himself. That's when he stops running and starts showing up, consistently, authentically, without all the push-pull dynamics that characterized your connection before. That's when the connection moves from chaos to clarity, from the exhausting cycle of hot and cold to a steady warmth, from push-pull to harmony, from the painful dance of separation to the peace of union, from separation consciousness to unity consciousness. But it all begins with you, with your choice to lead, to step into the divine feminine leadership that doesn't control but inspires, with your decision to embody the frequency you want to experience, to become the vibration of the love you want to receive, with your commitment to love yourself so fully, so completely, so unconditionally that his presence or absence no longer determines your worth, your mood, your ability to experience joy and peace. This is the final stage. This is the culmination of everything you've been working toward. This is the moment everything you've been through, every tear you've cried into, your pillow at 3 a.m., every prayer you've whispered to the universe asking for guidance, every moment of doubt where you questioned if you were crazy for believing in this connection, every dark night of the soul where you had to choose between your truth and what everyone else was telling you. It all culminates in this knowing, this deep, unshakable knowing that lives in your bones. You are ready. You have done the work. You have faced your shadows. You have healed your wounds. You have released the patterns that kept you small. You have always been ready, even when you doubted yourself, even when you couldn't see it. And now the universe is finally catching up to the truth you've been living, the frequency you've been embodying, the reality you've been creating from the inside out. So what does this mean for you moving forward? What does this look like in practical, everyday terms? It means you continue to choose yourself every single day. Not just once, not just when it's convenient, but as a daily practice, a sacred commitment you make to your own soul. You continue to build the life that lights you up, that makes you excited to wake up in the morning. That reflects your values and your dreams and your authentic desires. You continue to honor your intuition, that inner voice that has been guiding you all along, even when your mind tried to talk you out of it. You continue to set boundaries that protect your peace, that guard your energy, that communicate your worth without apology or explanation. You continue to love without losing yourself, to stay open-hearted without becoming a doormat, to be compassionate without sacrificing your own needs. You continue to trust that divine timing is real, that it's not a concept designed to keep you waiting, but a sacred orchestration of events that serves your highest good. You trust that what's meant for you is already yours in the energetic realm. It's already done in the quantum field. It's just making its way to you in the physical, manifesting in form, becoming tangible reality. You continue to be the lighthouse, steady, bright, unmoved by the storms around you, because that's what leaders do. That's what divine feminine energy does. They don't waver based on external circumstances. They don't dim their light to make others comfortable or to avoid triggering others' insecurities. They shine, fully, unapologetically, brilliantly. And in their shining, they give others permission to do the same. They show others what's possible. They elevate the entire field. This is your time, beloved. This is your era. This is the season where everything shifts. The universe is not preparing you anymore. That phase is complete. It's following your lead now. You have stepped into the role of co-creator, of conscious manifester, of someone who understands that you're not a victim of circumstances, but the author of your story. Every choice you make, every boundary you set, every moment, you choose love over fear. You are directing the course of your journey. You are writing the next chapter with your energy, your focus, your commitment to truth. You are creating the reality you want to live in, not through force or manipulation, but through alignment and embodiment. And union, true union, sacred union, is not something you wait for like a package being delivered. It's not something outside of you that you have to chase or earn or prove yourself worthy of. It's something you become. You become it by being whole, by doing your inner work, by integrating all parts of yourself, by being authentic, by removing the masks, by showing up as your real self even when it feels vulnerable, by being so deeply rooted in your own truth that nothing can shake you. No external circumstance can knock you off center. No one's opinion can make you doubt what you know in your soul. And when you reach that place, when you embody that frequency consistently, when it becomes your natural state rather than something you have to work to access, the physical manifestation is inevitable, not because you forced it, not because you manipulated or strategized or played games, but because you aligned with it, because you became the energetic match for what you desire. Ask yourself one final time, with complete honesty, am I living as the one who waits, or am I living as the one who leads? Am I sitting on the sidelines of my own life, waiting for someone else to give me permission to be happy? Or am I stepping forward, taking inspired action, creating the life I want right now? Am I giving my power away to someone else's choices, someone else's timeline, someone else's awakening process? Or am I standing in it, owning it, wielding it with consciousness and grace? Am I shrinking to make others comfortable, playing small so I don't intimidate or threaten or trigger? Or am I shining my full light, expressing my gifts, taking up space without apology? Because the answers to these questions will determine everything. They're not just philosophical inquiries, they're practical indicators of your energetic state. They will determine how quickly union manifests, because the universe responds to who you're being, not what you're wanting. They will determine the quality of that union, whether it's built on codependency or true partnership, whether it's rooted in fear or love. They will determine whether you meet him as equals, as two whole people coming together to create something greater, or as one trying to fix the other, as one trying to save the other, as one trying to complete the other. The final stage is not about him. Let that sink in. After all this focus on the twin flame journey, on the connection, on the union, the final stage is not about him. It's about you. It's about you claiming your power, taking back every piece of yourself you gave away, every bit of energy you invested in trying to control outcomes. It's about you remembering who you are, not who trauma told you to be, not who society conditioned you to be, but who you are at a soul level. It's about you stepping into the leadership role you were always meant to embody. The role that perhaps scared you because it came with responsibility and visibility, and the risk of being seen fully. And as you do this, as you continue to rise, as you continue to choose yourself and embody your truth, know that you are not alone. This is not a solitary journey, even though there are moments where it feels incredibly lonely. There are thousands of divine feminines across the planet doing this same work right now. Choosing themselves when every societal message tells them to choose others first. Reclaiming their power after centuries of being told they were too much or not enough. Embodying their truth, even when it means walking away from what's familiar and comfortable. And together, whether you ever meet in person or not, you are creating a ripple effect that is transforming the collective consciousness. You are part of something much bigger than your individual journey. You are rewriting the story of what love looks like, showing that it's not about sacrifice and suffering, but about wholeness and joy. You are showing the world that the feminine is not weak, that receptivity is not passivity, that softness is not fragility. She is powerful beyond measure, and her power has been suppressed and misunderstood for far too long. And her power is not in force, not in domination, not in control. It's in presence, in the ability to be fully here now. It's in peace, in the capacity to remain centered regardless of external chaos. It's in the unwavering commitment to truth and love and wholeness, even when the path is unclear. This is the revolution, not a loud, aggressive revolution, but a quiet, profound one that happens from the inside out. And you are leading it simply by being who you truly are. So tell me, beautiful soul, have you felt this shift? Have you noticed the moment you stopped chasing and started embodying? What changed in you when you chose yourself fully? Drop your insights in the comments below. Your story might be exactly what another soul needs to hear today. Because we rise together, we heal together, we lead together. And the divine feminine in her final stage is unstoppable. She is grace and power. She is softness and strength. She is the bridge between heaven and earth, and she is you.